With the impending launch of COSPAS-1, we moved into a final phase, testing a satellite's ability to receive distress beacon signals under actual space conditions. To accomplish this, ground station equipment had to be in place, as well as personnel to monitor the satellite data. In Canada, Ted King, no relation, was one of the first Mission Control Center operators to come on board in 1981.
I was a major at the time that this SARSAT project started up, and I was assigned to work specifically with the CMCC during the developmental and evaluation phase. That was physically located here at RCC Trenton. I stayed in that job once things got rolling until 1991.
On June 30th, 1982, Cosmos 1383 was launched from Plesetsk, Russia. It would be the first COSPAS satellite to carry search and rescue instruments as part of its payload.
Он выведен на круговую полярную орбиту с высотой 1000 километров и позволяет начинать проходить летные испытания всей системы, включая наземный комплекс и центры управления и всю остальную часть системы. В течение 70 дней шли с успехом летные испытания, определялись параметры системы.
2 months later, on September 1st, the Soviets declared it ready for D&E testing. Within days, this experiment would chalk up its first success. September 9th, 1982, a single-engine Cessna piloted by John Ziegelheim flew a search pattern over the Rocky Mountains in British Columbia, Canada. He and his 2 passengers were searching for an aircraft that had vanished more than 7 weeks before.
A father at a church, his son went missing out there around Dease Lake, and so one of my students who goes to that church wanted to see if we could go out there with the father, and they hadn't found him in a week or so, and he thought, well, maybe if I just go see where he was flying, I might understand it better. So off we went. We got to Dease Lake, no problem. And then we went flying around, and it was time to return home. We ran into some bad weather, but we knew that if we'd gone down this valley, we would get down to the airport. And unfortunately, we misread the map and made the right turn too early, and there was no end out of that canyon. And that's when we went into the trees. I had a broken leg. Gary had the broken ribs and wrist and nose. And the father was okay. And we set up tent, and we thought, well, okay, we did file a flight plan, so they do know we're missing. They just don't know where we are because we had changed course.
And they'd gone out and done an initial search without any luck when Ziegelheim was reported overdue. So I was called in to see if we could use the satellite system to help. So I came in and got it set up to track satellite passes in the western fringes, which it was. We only had the one tracking station operating at that time in Ottawa. So to pick up something in British Columbia was sort of at the extreme limits of the system.
We had the ELT with us. It was bolted to the airplane, but I mean, it was in great shape. It was in the tail, so it survived. Fantastic. The antenna was sticking up. And so what we thought we'd do is we take the, we could get the ELT out, but we couldn't get the antenna out. And we thought that was pretty important. So I got up on top of the airplane with an axe, and I thought, well, I'll cut around it, and then, I can take the whole antenna out of the airplane. Well, I took a couple of whacks at the fuselage, and the antenna went flying. And we thought, well, that wasn't good. But it's out. So we took it with us and then turned it on that night.
So I came in, checked the satellite schedule. We had some prediction software which we used, took a look at what passes were suitable, made sure that the tracking station was scheduled to take those passes. Well, it wasn't a difficult task because we only had the Russian satellite at the time. But there were long gaps in between, but made sure everything was working, the communications and so on. And of course, when the pass occurred in the middle of the night, the data was automatically forwarded to RCC Victoria, and they reacted to it, I believe it was the next morning.
Okay, guys, we've just been tasked by RCC to search for a aircraft in distress.
That morning we got a hit. The satellite picked it up, and we proceeded out to the lat long they give us. And we're approximately about 10 miles away from the crash site. And we picked up a DLT, and then we circled around, and that's, I spotted the tent and the casualties. And that's when we made the decision that we're going in.
The next morning, bright, beautiful, clear day, and we heard an airplane come by, and they were circling. The guys are out there, and they're telling me what's going on, and they're going, "There's a plane here," and it's a big Buffalo, so they're going like, "Yeah, somebody's found us." Well, that's when they came back and dropped the paratroopers in.
So we landed right by where the survivors were, and it was a matter of feet. We were right on target, both of us. There was 3 casualties. We had fractures of the lower limbs, broken ribs, facial lacerations, and shock. So they were in bad shape. If it wasn't for the COSPAS satellite, it would have took us maybe anywhere from 3 to 4 days, maybe a week to find the survivors. And if we had waited that long, the type of injuries they did have, there probably would have been some deaths. They wouldn't have made it.
They evacuated us out of there with the helicopter and took us out to a waiting airplane in the hospital. And we made it home. And we still hadn't known how we got rescued until we got to the Air Force Base before the hospital. And somebody said, "Well, the satellite found you." We're like, "What satellite? There's no such thing. It's a radio beacon." And well, I don't know, something happened. So we didn't know the whole story until later. As it turned out, it was our good fortune that you turned the machine on that night and picked us up right away. And 40 years later, here I am, still alive.
Через 70 дней после запуска пресса мировая взорвалась сообщением о том, что советский спутник спас экипаж канадского самолета Cessna-172. Это, конечно, окрылило всех тех, кто занимался разработкой системы COSPAS у нас, так как это означало, что сработала эффективно вся система целиком.
Man, I'm glad those guys had the foresight to put together something like that. I mean, like 40 years later, how many people it's helped? It's just an unbelievable project.
Yes, history was made.